You're watching another edition of Business Spotlight, and this week we're diving into the maritime industry, the role it plays in South Africa's economy, and the importance of maritime skills development. With my expert guest, Nwabisa Matoti, who is the Acting Research Director of the South African International Maritime Institute. Nwabisa, thanks for joining us. Can you share some of the most significant strides women have made in the maritime industry over the past few years? What are some of the key milestones that stand out for you?
Statistics from the International Maritime Organization indicate that only 2% of women form the global seafarer workforce, with women seafarers in South Africa reported to be forming about 3 to 10% of the total South African seafarer workforce. This shows the magnitude of the challenge that we're facing as women in the participation in maritime industry. Efforts have been made, however, by industry stakeholders to increase the number of women in maritime, including leadership positions. We have seen the likes of Transnet increasing their efforts with women being in leadership positions both offshore and onshore, with some even rising to the levels of captains and harbour masters, for instance. In government agencies as well, such as the ports regulators, we have seen women take up CEO positions as well as executive positions. As well as the education space, we've seen some women holding high positions within the academic and research sphere, but this is largely in the marine sciences space. We have, for instance, a woman research chair in marine spatial planning at the Nelson Mandela University, amongst other examples. These stats, Gary, are just a drop in the ocean. So a lot still needs to be done by both the private sector as well as the public sector to ensure that there's an increased participation by women in the maritime industry.
The maritime industry has historically been male-dominated. What are some of the challenges that you think women still face in this field?
There's recent research that has been done by one of our research associates at SAIMI in January 2024, that is Dr. Letitia Grimet. This research revealed that women still primarily form part of support and junior positions. Secondly, there's a payment gap between men and women in the sector. There's also a distrust by employers about women's competence in the maritime professionals, as maritime professionals rather. And in the seafaring sphere, there's a lack of amenities on shipping vessels, so that is separate ablution facilities. However, there are a few companies that have tried to address this. And lastly, amongst the list of challenges, women are still likely to require maternity leave, which makes them less attractive as potential employees in the sector. So these are just some of the few examples of challenges that seem to be addressed by the sector to ensure that women are better accommodated as well as recognized more in terms of their capabilities as maritime professionals.
Nwabisa, from your perspective as a research director, how important is it to promote diversity and inclusion in the maritime research and education environment? What impact does it have on the industry as a whole?
With the aging workforce, it is important to build research capacity by implementing programs that will increase the pipeline of women researchers in the maritime sector. Various stakeholders such as universities, government agencies, as well as SAIMI have implemented programs that are aimed at addressing this. SAIMI, for instance, has got an Emerging Researchers Program, which is aimed at supporting maritime or marine-related postgraduate researchers across the various universities through research grants, through mentorship, and also supporting them to attend conferences or seminars to increase their exposure. We also have a postdoctoral fellowship program at SAIMI, which has currently 3 candidates, 2 of which are women, and they're doing very well, and they've published scholarly outputs in various journals locally and internationally. We're also looking at collaboration with various stakeholders to increase the pool of resources to ensure that we expand our reach. These initiatives are aimed at increasing both women and youth participation in maritime research. In terms of the overall impact, Gary, this will result in an increased pipeline of researchers, which leads to increased knowledge generation, as well as increased research outputs. This also includes the increased facilitation of knowledge exchange and sharing to ensure that we have got an innovative, sustainable and inclusive maritime sector, as well as influence policy.
Could you highlight any specific initiatives or programs that SAIMI has implemented to support the advancement of women in maritime careers?
SAIMI has implemented various programs to support women participation in the sector. These include the Sindiswa Ntumayo bursary scheme that is targeted at only women to increase their participation in the sector through offering support for funding for their maritime-related studies. We also have the Accelerated Development Program for Women in Maritime Leadership in partnership with the Nelson Mandela Business School. This is aimed at empowering women with maritime leadership skills, both at individual as well as business level. We've had 2 takes already. We are looking at taking the 3rd cohort. Thirdly, we've got an Imbogodo in Maritime program, which is aimed at honoring women who have made significant contributions in the sector. Last week, we had the 2024 Women's Seminar and Awards event, where we saw keynote addresses and presentations by various women in the industry sharing their work that they have done in their respective spaces, as well as their experiences, thus encouraging more women to take up the baton. Lastly, SAIMI has implemented various training programs in areas such as aquaculture, small-scale fisheries, marine manufacturing, net mending and repair, and other areas, which we saw a significant number of women participating in those programs.
What role do you think mentorship and networking play in supporting women's careers in the maritime sector?
There's a Xhosa idiom that says, "Inyathi ibuzo kwabaphambili," loosely translated as the road or the journey is known by those that came before us. So I believe that mentorship is very key in helping women to navigate their maritime journey through guidance that is provided by those that have got experience in the sector. This will enable them to draw lessons in defining their own paths. I'm also a beneficiary of a mentorship program, as I was mentored when I started working in the banking sector 25 years ago, and when I also branched into the industry, the maritime industry, about 12 years ago. So I'm a huge advocate of mentorship. On the issue of networking, it's very important as well, as it gives you access to a wide range of expertise from both a local and a global perspective.
What advice would you perhaps give young women who are now considering a career in the maritime sector or industry?
The maritime sector is very broad, so one needs to do their research in terms of what the industry entails and choose a path that speaks to them. A SAIMI can help with this because we've got a maritime awareness program, which includes a website known as Dive In, that's divein.co.za. This website provides information on the various aspects of the maritime industry, including qualifications that are required, as well as potential employers. Thirdly, mentorship is key, so align yourself with those that have expertise to help you navigate your path and advance your growth. Lastly, if you want to pursue a career in seafaring, that is being an officer, whether deck, engine or fishing, you must do pure maths and science at high school level as universities look at these subjects upon enrollment. Having said that, there are other areas, of course, that one could explore in the industry besides seafaring. So go to divein.co.za for more information.
We're going to have to leave it there. Sounds fascinating. Nwabisa, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Gary, for having me.
That was Nwabisa Matoti, Acting Research Director of the South African International Maritime Institute. You're watching Business Day TV. Stay tuned.